Hello, here we are. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. My name is Lori from Loritamarie Crafts, and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Calgary, Alberta, and I love to come live here so I can give you fun tips, techniques, ideas, inspiration to help you take your paper crafting supplies and turn them into beautiful projects. And today's no exception. We have a super cute project that we're going to make. We're going to make a little gift box that fits a set of 4 matching cards featuring the Floral Charm Designer Series paper. And this paper is so pretty. It is, let me just bring it up here, my current class. I'm featuring this paper too. So we're going to play with it today and kind of see what it looks like. I've got some of it here. I've already used up some of the patterns. So this is the DSP here, the Floral Charm. And I just love the rich colors. There's also pretty peacock and old olive, or not old olive, what is it? Mossy Meadow. So look, these are the colors. So in my class, we're going to be making 2 slimline fun fold cards. So I'm going to show you them in a second. But when you get my, these are my Stampin' Crate classes, and I'm going to get it up on my website today. But if you're on my email list, then you should already have got the email. But you get half a pack of the paper. You get coordinating cardstock. Look at these beautiful colors. And we're going to be using the ribbon and gems today, so you'll see what they look like that you get in the class. And we're going to be making these really cool kind of fun fold cards. Super fun, right? And then they're going to have matching envelopes, so it's got a beautiful packaging to go with it. And this is the other one. I wanted to do one vertical and one long ways. And you can kind of see sort of what it looks like there. And yeah, so it's open. We're going to make these fun projects. I can't remember what I was just going to say. Oh yeah, and I'm also featuring the Label Me Grateful bundle. And so we're going to be using that today too as well. Yeah, so that's all the stories there. If you are loving Stampin' Up! Stuff, then don't forget that Last Chance Products is up on the website, which means things that are retiring and they're only available while they last. And there's some really great things that they've added to that list. And it's the in color sale this month, right through to the end of the month. So select products that feature the 2025 to 2027 in colors. And so what's kind of fun about it is that you would think that's just like the cardstock and the blends and the ink, which is very good, but it also is like DSP and some kits and some fun things. This paper that we're using today, because it has one of the ink colors in it, and yeah, it is on sale, so 15% off. So that's kind of a fun thing to check out. And so you can, I think I have a link in the description, but you can always just go on stampinup.ca and check it out. So yes, right, this paper is so pretty. Let's get to our projects. I was like feeling a little flustered when I was getting ready because I wanted to cut out all the pieces ahead of time, and then all of a sudden it was like 11:55. I was like, oh no, I gotta like go live. So here we are. Hopefully I have all my pieces cut and ready to go. I'm going to bring you down to my desk, which is already messy. We haven't even started, but it's going to be fun creating with these papers today and these projects. And so let me show you. I'm going to give you a little peek here of what it looks like. So we're going to be making a gift box that fits 4 full-size cards. So I'm going to show you how to make the box. And isn't it fun? I'm going to show you how to make the box, and I'm going to show you how to make the 4 cards that go with it. So we kind of have a bigger project today. But when I have pretty paper like this, what I like to do is showcase all the patterns. And so this is a fun way for you to make something with every single pattern in the DSP. So let's get to the base of the card box. So I need your paper trimmer. And I'm making the structure of my box out of basic beige. And like I said, hopefully I've got all my measurements down here. Okay, so it needs to be 9 5/8. Sorry, I just want to make sure I got everything. So 9 5/8, which is the 8th mark past your 3/4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 5/8 by 6 1/4. And the quarter is kind of like hidden on this trimmer right in the dark gray. So it's right in there. 6 1/4. And then while we have it this way with the short side on top, we want to score it 7/8 of an inch from either side. So 7/8, we're going to score it there. And then we're going to turn it around and score it again on the other side. And then on the long side, we're going to score it twice. Once at 3 inches and then 3 7/8. Okay, so let's get this figured out here. Does anyone else like making little gift sets? I did one of these a few months ago with the plaid paper. And so if you want another idea of a little gift box, that was a fun one. And it was smaller, so it fit note card size, whereas this one is fitting full-size cards. Okay. So we're burnishing all our folds here. And this is the basic shape. And so we just need our paper snips, and you can see, I don't think I can get on the camera, kind of, there we go. So we're going to go up these score lines to the next score line to create our little tabs to help us put the box together. So just going to snip up like that. And then essentially those are going to fold in. And then you can decide if you want this to wrap around. So this can wrap around the outside, or you can tuck those flaps. Let me just get a second here. You can tuck them to the inside and have these sides wrap all the way around like this. So either way, we're going to put DSP on the side. So if you put them on the outside, it'll be covered up, that little seam. And so I'm going to do it on the outside because I was feeling like it gave it more structure. But I don't know if it really matters. But so while we have this all flat, let's put our DSP on. And so this is going to be the front panel of the box. So it's going to sit like this. And so I'm going to use what is, I think, my favorite pattern in this Floral Charm paper. Isn't it really pretty? So it's Berry Burst, Mossy Meadow, and this is Timid Tiger. So that's the in color hidden in there. So I've got a piece of Mossy Meadow two-tone cardstock. So I love to use the two-tone, right? So you can use that lighter side if you want. So this is the natural Mossy Meadow, and then you flip it over and you've got that lighter color. And then I'm just going to mat it with some DSP. So let's get some measurements for you. Okay, so the Mossy Meadow is 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. And the DSP is 1/4 inch smaller. So it's 4 by 2 1/2. And let's find our seal. Oops. You could also, the back of this paper is Mossy Meadow, so you could also use that, but I was running out of this pattern, to be honest, so that's why I grabbed some two-tone cardstock. So we'll put this on. So that's the one thing that's nice about this paper, is that the back side of every pattern, it has like a full color, and we're going to use both sides of the paper today on every card, and so you can kind of see how to mix and match. Okay, so that should just center in there. Now, I would like to put DSP on the sides. So I'm just trying to remember what I did here. Yeah, so I just need these two long sides. So let's, I'm going to go ahead and put my box together. I'm going to put a little Seal Plus. Oh, it's just grabbing it there. Come on. Sometimes it's so sticky, it grabs the cardstock. So you just got to like get it to release the sticky. There we go. And so I'm going to just tuck that flap in like so. And this one. And then you can use like tear and tape too, or Seal Plus. I'm going to put it on the inside of these little shorter panels. And then we'll just wrap it around. Okay, so that's the basic structure of it. Already cute. Let's cut the DSP that goes on the side. So those are going to be 3/4 of an inch by 5.5. So like I said, I got to see what paper I've got left here. Ah, perfect. That's my 5.5. So 3/4. I need 2 of these. Okay. And we'll put these on the side, and then we're going to create the part that goes over top of the box. All right, so this should just fit nicely along the sides, just kind of finishes it off a little bit. All right. There we go. And right, so cute already. So now it needs the paper to go over top. And so, because I needed it long, I need something that's 12 by 12 instead of just regular cardstock. So again, I've used two-tone cardstock, and I'm going to use crumb cake. And it doesn't really matter if the dark or the light side is up, whichever you like. And we're going to cut this to 4 3/4 by 12. So 4 3/4 by 12. And then we're going to score it on the long side. So turn it this way. And we're going to score it at 5 7/8 and 6 7/8. Okay. And I'm going to need that back in a second, but let's just show you what this looks like. So I think on my original one, I had the light side up. So this one, I'll do the dark side up. Now you'll notice this still doesn't look long enough, right? So we're going to create a little extension on it. So even at 12 inches, it's not quite long enough to cover the whole box, right? So this is going to fit inside like so. And then you can see, oh, not long enough. So we're just going to fake it with some paper. So first we're going to cover the front with that pretty DSP. So I've got a piece here that's cut to, where is it? 4 3/4 by 5 1/8. And nope, let's wait. Then we need, before we put that on, we're going to use 2 little strips, and they're going to make our little extension. So this is 4 3/4 by 1, and I need a second one. So let's just cut that one out. So 1 inch wide by 4 3/4. Okay, and then what we want to do is add this on, right? So that it makes our paper the full length. So we're just going to add a little adhesive along the bottom. And then I found it like I needed to measure, so I'll hold this up. And then you can kind of make sure that you've got it long enough. Then we'll put adhesive on the main piece of DSP. And this will go over top. Like so. And then just to make this look good, we're going to use that to kind of just finish it off there on the back side. And I found that it was actually easier to go this way so that I didn't have it sticking up, if that makes sense. I did it the other way, but then the DSP was poking out on the wrong side. So I think this might work better. To make sure that they're perfectly matched up. If they're not, you can always just trim it with your scissors. That's not bad. So cute. And then to finish this off, we're going to put some of the pretty trim. So I haven't showed you that braided trim yet. So I'm just going to run some tear and tape along the seam between the green and the pattern. And let's show you this ribbon. This is really fun. We're going to, so it's in petal pink. Let's see if I can get that to focus for you. There we go. You can see that it's braided. We're going to use it solid for this, but you can, I'm going to show you later how you can pull it apart and use the different pieces of it, which is really fun. It comes apart kind of really easily. So, you know, about your 4 3/4, and then you can trim off the edges as you need here. So that just kind of finishes off the seam between the two papers, and then you can just trim it off. So nice. Now, for the sentiments and for the bundle, I'm actually not using the coordinating bundle with this set. So there is a coordinating bundle, and it's pretty flowers and got pretty sentiments. So if that's what you have, just incorporate that into this project. I had already had another bundle that I hadn't used yet, and so I thought I would just use that instead. And so this one's called Label Me Grateful, and I'll show you the dies in a bit. And I'm going to go into this bundle, I think next week on my live. But isn't it got the prettiest font? I love this font, and it has fantastic sentiments. And so I'm going to actually get through and use every single one. And the bundle has all these little leaf shapes, which are cool. But the best part is this giant label piece. I always love a good label piece. So I've gone ahead and cut that out in basic beige. And then we are going to stamp "You Are So Appreciated" in early espresso. So I'll just grab that. All right. And so obviously this is a fun set that you could tweak to your favorite paper at the moment, but I think once you see this paper, you'll see how pretty it is. There's that. And then we're going to use dimensionals put on the back. And I'm going to use some of the side ones because I don't want to put dimensionals where there's ribbon. It'll be too bulky. So I'm going to put these skinny ones kind of along the bottom edge. And you can use skinny ones too for the top, but that's just quicker. And we'll put some along the top there. And I'm just going to set it down like so. And then, of course, we need to add some gems. So the gems we're using throughout this are the matching ones, and they are called Charming Shimmer Gems. So 2 sizes and 3 colors: Petal Pink, Berry Burst, and Night of Navy. It's a little hard to see that blue, but it's really pretty. So I'm going to use the Berry Burst. Petal Pink would look good too. And we'll just put a few of those on. It'll add a little shine to our outside. All right, so now we need to put this together. So let's grab our box again and some tear and tape. And I guess I could have put it on the tear and tape while it was flat, and that might have been easier. Hindsight. So you could always do that. And there we go. So we'll just put some along all the outer edges. And I'll probably put a couple in the middle too. All right. Now we can put this together. And then the cards are like a little matching set, so they won't take too long to put together, but it's going to be fun to see different ways to use that DSP. Oh, make sure it's stuck on there. Too aggressive. There we go. All right. And then we're just going to set this inside. So I'm putting it, you kind of have to like It's hard to do on the camera because I got to lean over a little bit, but it'll be centered. There's a little bit on each side, and you want to go kind of below the seam. And then I kind of start at the top and then roll down, and then that kind of helps. And then you can kind of just get in there with your hand or a bone folder. All right, and there's the little gift box. So cute, and then it looks good from the side too. And then, oh, we could put one on the bottom too if you wanted. And now let's make our 4 cards to go inside. And so let's start with the first one. And so one thing I do when I make a set of cards, you may have heard me say this before, but I always try to find one thing that ties them all together. So obviously the sentiment is going to tie them together. And I've used basic beige on every single one as a starting point. So I have thick basic white for card bases. So just standard 5.5 by 8.5, scored in half at 4 1/4. And then on every single one, I'm going to have a piece of basic beige here that is 4 by 5 1/4. So that was kind of my starting point, and then I could go from there. And it just helps me design them a little bit quicker too when they each have like the same starting point. If you didn't want to do basic white, you could add a little extra color by whichever the solid color is in the DSP for that one. You could make the card base into that color. So like this first one, this is the paper we're going to use. This is my second favorite pattern, I think. Isn't that so pretty? And on the back is Pretty Peacock, which I love. And I have not been able to use Pretty Peacock much lately, but in the fall, right, Pretty Peacock always comes out. So lovely. So if you wanted a richer look for your card, then you could just change out your card base to Pretty Peacock, and that would look really good. So I've got a piece of DSP cut here to 4 by 4.5. So we'll put our seal on that. So it's the same width as the basic beige, but it's going to leave a little bit on the top and bottom. And so we'll just center that. It looks like this. And then I've got a cute little piece of that matching DSP. So same pattern, but the back side. And this is 3 by 1 1/4. And then we're just going to turn this into a banner. So if you don't like to hand snip your banners, you could use the Stylish Shapes dies. That's a good, we're going to use that later. I don't mind kind of guessing and going for it. I did the virtual album retreat, the scrapbooking retreat, which was amazing. And there was lots of great tips on how to make banners. So you can measure up the middle with your paper trimmer, like to half point and then cut. You can cut out one and then you can use it as a template for the other end so that they match. So there's kind of different ways that you can do it. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. So, and we're going to just put this on my seal. And you could center yours, but I'm going to put mine a little bit up and to the left. Right, then we want to use some of that pretty trim. So I want about 3.5 inches. And so this is really hefty ribbon. So you're definitely going to want to use tear and tape to put this on. So I'm going to just run a piece right down the center of our banner and put that on. Well, it's a bit long, maybe just to keep it centered, but. And then because it frays so nicely, you could like fray the little ends. And then that looks really nice too. And now we need a sentiment, and I am going to use, here's a shape I haven't used in a while. This is, what am I trying to say? The Stylish Shapes dies. This is like a good basic. If you don't have this, it's like a good basic for different label shapes. So this is the square. This is the third square, and it is about 2 by 2. And this time we're going to stamp You're the Best. And we're going to use Early Espresso again. And when you've got a rubber stamp, sometimes, I'm going to grab some scrap paper here. Sometimes you like don't know if you're going to get it straight or not, right? So you can either stamp first and then cut it out if you're worried, or practice. So I always do what I think is straight. So this looks straight to me. I stamp it down, and that one actually was straight. It went on the line, so that I know this stamp's pretty true to how it looks. They don't always work out that way. So I always practice with rubber stamps and sentiments. And then you should have good success to get that straight. And then we're going to tuck in a few little things. So in the Label Me Grateful dies, and we're going to get through most of these shapes, I think all of the shapes. Let's bring that down. So you get these two long leaves, which are fun. You get little acorns, little leaves. This is kind of like little berries. You get a flower. You get a single leaf here, and then you get these like little, I think they're oak leaves. So that looks good for to create like a more fall feel. And so I've cut these all out ahead of time so that you don't have to watch me cut out a million pieces. So I have got Petal Pink and Pretty Peacock, and you could use the back of the DSP too to cut out these shapes. And I've got the leaves in Pretty Peacock, and I've got the little like berry ones in Petal Pink. And I'm just gonna stick those together, layer them up. Oops. If I can, come on. Then I'll put a glue dot on like the front side of that. And I'm kind of picturing it kind of hanging off the one side. So I'll just like tuck it back there. Then we'll add a few dimensionals. And then we'll add in our little leaf too. So that kind of centers nicely on that banner. And then it doesn't need this other leaf per se, but I'm just going to use it anyway. And we're just going to tuck it in there. Fold this up. And then we'll add some gems. And on this one, I think I'm going to use the pretty, what is it? I was going to say pretty and pink, but that's not right. Petal Pink. And that is our first one of our card set. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so let's gather all my pieces. I'm just going to move some things out of the way here. There we go. Lots of stuff going on. So here's my card base. And then we've got that basic beige. I just drop stuff. Okay, so we'll get that on. That's the same structure again on every card. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. And for this pattern, I'm going to use this one, which is super pretty. And it's got the navy and the berry burst in it. And this one is 4 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to put it all the way to the top of that basic beige, kind of like that. And then I like to create something that goes over top. And so for my sample, I had grabbed Night of Navy, but then I was like, oh, I should use the back of the DSP, right? So I'm going to use that on this sample. So this is 4 inches by 1/2 inch. Extra sticky. There we go. And we'll just run that kind of along the seam. And it just kind of finishes it off there. So it just adds a little more texture there. And then this time for our sentiment, I've used that label shape again. And some of the sentiments, they go vertical, right? So they're nice and big. And this time we're going to use a little kindness makes a big difference. And now this paper doesn't really have that brown tone to it. So I'm going to stamp in Night of Navy. And then definitely, I know this one stamps a bit off, so I'm going to practice. So ink it up and then do what you think is straight. And so mine, I can see it's tilting down this way a little bit. So now when I stamp what I think is straight, I correct a little bit, and usually that works for me. So I'm sure everyone has their own trick for how they get that to work for them, but If you really hate it, then stamp first and cut out your die. Cut it with the die after. Okay, not bad. It's a little high, but not bad. You have to just go with it, right? So, hey, I'm gonna put dimensionals on the back of this, and then I'll show you the pieces that I cut out for this one. And I tried to use kind of like a different combination of the dies on every card too, so that you can kind of see how that goes. So this time I cut out the flower, and it's in Berry Burst, and I cut out those two leaves, and I love it when they do doubles, and then it makes it faster to cut things out, right? And I use Lost Lagoon, and what I love about Pretty Peacock is that Lost Lagoon is like the perfect color buddy. It's just a lighter tone, but they always match really well together. So if Pretty Peacock was a bit rich for you, then I would definitely go for Lost Lagoon. So we're going to tuck these on first. See if I can get this to work. So you can just run some seal down. You can use your liquid glue. And we're just going to overlap those a bit. And then we're going to grab some of our braided trim. And I'm just going to show you here. Just snip off a piece. And you can literally just, I've got one already done, so you don't have to watch me do it. But I wonder if it just pulls. No, it doesn't really just pull out. But you can separate it, unbraid it, right? You can just unbraid the trim. And then you've got all these great little, well, it does kind of pull out. Hey, that works. Then you can just pull it. There, we learned something together. And then you've got this fun, it's like fibery, texture-ish kind of like twine. It's really awesome. And so I'm actually just going to grab a little piece of that. And so it's fun because it's like the consistency of linen thread, but with the color pretty pink, right? I keep saying that, petal pink. I mean to say petal pink. And so I'm just gonna I think I might just do circles. We'll see how that turns out. Kind of looped it back and forth there. Then we'll put our sentiment on. Gotta fight the backings. There we go. And then I just want to line up so that my flower doesn't cover up some of the words. And then you can use a dimensional, or you can use glue dots back there. I think I'm going to use glue dots this time. I'll put that there. And now you can add our gems. So I'm actually going to put them right onto my flower. I might need to tuck some more glue dots back there to like hold that down a bit better. If you ever use like a detailed die like this and you feel like, oh, it's kind of loose, I need to like add something, I usually just grab my take your pick tool, take a glue dot, and then you can kind of like tuck it behind and kind of get it where you want it. All right. So here's a second card. And this one, I don't mean this in a bad way, but this one has a real 90s vibe to it, don't you think? It's got like a real 90s flower pattern to it. It's kind of fun. All right, so our third card. So we've got our card base and our basic beige, and this is the pattern that I'm going to use this time. And we'll go ahead and put this one on. So this one has Berry Burst in it, and this is obviously the back side of it, Berry Burst. And it's just more neutral with the browns and the beige. So we'll put this on. Okay. And this time for the label shape, I used it as a backdrop. So that's that fun label shape, cut it right out of the DSP. And so I'm going to put the Berry Burst side up. And we'll just center that right into our card. And then we're going to create like a little arrangement. So for our sentiment, I've used those style shapes dies again. So this is the larger of the banner pieces. And I'm going to use Early Espresso. And I'm going to stamp Thank You. So I'm just gonna go for it. This one's not bad. So there we go. I just love this font. Love this font. Isn't it? I mean, it's just so pretty. It's like the perfect little scripty font. And so this time I've got a little assortment here. So I've got 2 petal pink leaves, 2 berry burst berries, and 2 crumb cake leaves. And what I'm going to do is create like a little sprig on the side here. And so I think I'll start just by laying down some seal. And then again, I can go in and tuck in glue dots to kind of secure things if things are too loose. And oh, I'm going to work some of that twine in before I put those on top. So the next layer is this twine. So I just got a couple pieces and I'll just trim this off. So this is about like 5.5, 5 inches. And we'll just lay those in, and I can trim those down maybe too a little bit. Then we'll do, I think the berry burst goes next. Then the petal pink. And then of course we're going to cover up where they connect with the sentiment. Okay, so put some dimensionals on the back. This. 1, 2, 3. And then it just kind of sits over top. Isn't that fun? And I might, it's a bit long. Just trim those off. And that needs some of our gems. So I'm going to mix and match the berry burst and the petal pink this time. And fold this one up. And then we're on to our last card already. It actually went pretty fast. Well, you don't have to watch me cut out every single die cut piece. It's much better, right? All right, so there's our third card. So let's go to our very last card. And I wanted to work in these kind of, where is it? These more fall shapes, right? So they've got little acorns and these cute little leaves. So that's what I'm going to use this time. So let's put this on. So we've got our basic beige again. And so for this, there is one pattern you may notice that I did not use. So I tried to use every pattern. So you can make a set of 5 cards if you want to work in that last pattern, which is the one I didn't use. Let me show you. So this is the one I didn't use. So if Blackberry Bliss is one of your favorite colors, then you're going to want to work that one in. But for my last one, I'm using this one because it's got like the blues and oranges. And so I thought that would be better for a fall kind of look. So this is the Timid Tiger. I'm going to have face up. And this is 3 3/4 by 5. And so that is just centered. And then I've got a pop of the pattern. And so that's going to go in the center as well. And this is 3 1/4 by 3 3/4. And we'll center that in there. And our sentiment this time, again, it goes this kind of long ways, and it's one of the big ones. And I'm going to use navy just to tie in the blues. And this one is so grateful for that heart of yours. I'm going to practice this one again. Okay, so again, what I think is straight. That's not bad. Okay. Let's see if I can recreate that. There we go. It's always harder to do on the camera, right? Pressure. Okay, so we're going to put this on with dimensionals. So once you've got all your die cut pieces done and everything, it actually comes together not too bad. All right. So we're going to put this on first. And I feel like my DSP is like super crooked. Ah. Yeah. Do I want to leave it or do I want to rip it off? I'm going to have to leave it. You don't want to watch me try to take that off. Okay. put that on, and then I have got cute little leaves cut out in Mossy Meadow and the little acorns in crumb cake. And I kind of like the way it looked when I just like fed that through. And then they look like they're a little interlocked together. And then we're going to use a glue dot and kind of set it at the top there. And it's kind of going to hang from the top. So then I might want to add, I'll add another glue dot in there. And then maybe a mini dimensional would fit back there too. Now, I wanted to use the petal pink on every card, but it doesn't really go with this one. So I am going to sneak in some linen thread to this one. And I'm going to tie a little bow with the linen thread. So same texture, but just the regular brown color. Okay, that was a terrible bow. Let's try again. Why can't I? Every time. I can tie a bow. There we go. Okay, so I don't want it to be too big. And then we'll put this in a glue dot too. Let's find one here. And I'm going to put it there kind of where everything meets up. And then you can, if it's too much adhesive, you can kind of poke it back underneath the paper or the knot so that it's not too sticky on your card. And then if you want to trim those off, you can. And we've got the only gems we haven't used are the blue ones, the Night of Navy. So we're going to use the blue ones. And then we get to put everything in our box. All right. And there's our last one. So let's pull in. Oh, so then you can grab your envelopes. These are regular size cards, like I said. And then if you wanted to put, you know, like the matching flap of the DSP, or you want to stamp something, right, so that they kind of coordinate, that's always a fun look too. So I've got the 4 envelopes. I'm just going to keep mine together. And then our 4 cards. Which one's your favorite? I'd love to know which one's your favorite. So we've got Pretty Peacock, Night of Navy, Berry Burst, we'll call it, and Timid Tiger. I wonder what your favorite. Stack them all. Grab our box. And it fits all lovely inside. And because it's the light cardstock, it's that two-tone, it just sits really nice. Cheryl says Berry Burst. All right, that's her favorite. This is my favorite, so I choose the cover. So there we go. We'll just bring you back up here. Oh, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you caught the replay, I always appreciate it. You can let me know what you think about these cards and the box. I always like to hear what you guys think, and you can like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that, so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. And if you've loved this paper at all or feel a little bit inspired, you don't want to miss my August Stamp and Create class. If you're on my email list, like I said, you've already got the info. If you're not, I'm going to get it up on my website today, but we're going to be making these awesome little slimline fun fold cards. It's too many words. So it's going to be great to make those projects with the same paper. So I hope you guys have a great weekend and you're enjoying kind of these last bits of summer here in August. Is always kind of a fun time of year. And I will be back next week with some more great projects. And then pretty soon we're into sneak peeks of the new catalog. So I can't wait for that. So take care, everybody. Until next week. Bye-bye.